Hey, Adam,
Geez,
one
why,
thing.
why do you think they called bumpers scary?
I don't know.
Because they come at the beginning, at the end, like bumpers.
Alex, you're a marketing guy. Do you like that design behind Paul? Does that logo thing look pretty cool to you?
Hey, I forgot to hit the record button.
That's really professional, isn't it?
Well, this is a professional podcast.
I met her in a parking lot and was handed two little Yorkies. And the only person I knew that knew Yorkies was Paul. So I called Paul and said, Paul.
Sweet Talk is a weekly 20-minute podcast brought to you by the Continuing Education and Workforce Training Division of Idaho State University's College of Technology. Find us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, and SoundCloud and subscribe today. Now it's time to get started with Sweet Talk.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Sweet Talk, a weekly podcast here at Idaho State University's Continuing Education and Workforce Training. I am Paul Dickey, one of your hosts. I am the apprenticeship coordinator here at Sweet. And as always, joining us is our interim director, Raylyn Price. Hey, Raylyn, how are you doing today?
It's a great day to have a great day. So happy Tuesday.
Tuesday. Yeah,
Yes.
it's a Tuesday.
It's a Tuesday. Sometimes we do these on Fridays, but today is a Tuesday. And we are so excited because we also have Angie Wilhelm with us today. Welcome, Angie.
Thank you so much, Raylyn. I'm back. For those of you who have been following the past few weeks, I was out with injury, so you couldn't see my face. But I'm back in the office now. We have a wonderful guest that many of you guys will recognize from other podcasts we've had just previously in last year. If you haven't tuned in recently, today we have Tracy Collum, the interim director for ISU's graduate school, and we will be talking to her about the 3MT, or the 3-minute thesis competition. Welcome, Tracy. And can you tell us a little bit about yourself and explain a little bit about what the 3MT is?
Yes, so I'm so happy to be back to talk about our 3-minute thesis competition. It's one of my favorite items that we do in the whole year. It's a fantastic event. So my name is Tracy Collum. I am the interim dean of the graduate school. And 10 years ago, we began at the graduate school to do more research showcases for our students. And originally we had a research symposium that was geared towards oral presentations and poster sessions. And we added a 3-minute thesis a few years later. Well, we finally decided that it was just too big of an event to keep it all together. And we separated out the two events. So the 3-minute thesis competition became our fall premier student showcase event. And in the spring, we have our research symposium still that is connected now with our undergraduate research office. But the 3-minute thesis competition is exactly that. It's 3 minutes for students to talk about their research and work that they have been conducting over the last 6 months to 6 years. It's really a wide range, and they have 3 minutes to do it. If they go over 3 minutes, they are disqualified from winning prizes. They are judged on their entertainment to the audience, to be able to talk about their research in layman's terms, but also to intrigue the audience on why their research is important. And having only 3 minutes to do so is, for the audience, quite fun. For the student, very stressful.
That sounds like a cool event. So is it fair to say that it's almost like a little mini TED Talk, but based on their research?
Yeah. Absolutely. The students have started calling it the TED Talk event, but
okay.
it is copyrighted as a 3-minute thesis at 3MT. It is worldwide, so it is copyrighted with that. So we do use the 3MT logo, but it is considered, from the student perspective, a TED Talk. It's very fast paced and it just goes and rolls. Last year we had over 30 students participate, and I'm sure we'll have just as many this year.
Wow. Is it just a one-day event, Tracy?
Yes. If we get too big, we may make it to a 2-day where we have to do rounds and narrow down the pool. But right now we're trying to keep it as one solid event, and we just have the students come back to back up on stage. So for some of them, it's the first time holding a microphone. For some of them, it's the first time really talking about their research. So it's a really intriguing event. It's one of my favorites, like I said.
So I imagine participation is voluntary. Okay. So what compels them to complete?
You know, one of those things is our first place prize is $2,000.
Oh,
Oh,
Not
nice.
too shabby.
Oh.
We do cash prizes for first, second, and third place, and we have a People's Choice Prize, which is a $500. The audience gets to vote. It's also held through Zoom, so we have Zoom participants and Zoom audience members. So we do allow all those folks to vote. And then some other reasons is they do find their research important, the work that they're doing important, and they do want to share it. And so that's an amazing thing too, because they're doing research that is worldwide, US based, and sometimes very Idaho specific based. Some of it is in geology, some of it is in English, some of it's just a passion that they've come to graduate school for. And so they find that this is a good opportunity to share what they've been doing, but it's also an opportunity for them to get on stage, to talk about the work they've been conducting, to prepare for other pieces of their work. So maybe they're still collecting data, but they need to be able to prep for defending their thesis to a committee. Maybe they're getting ready to go to a conference. And for some of them, they just truly need to learn how to conduct an interview when they're looking for a job, to talk about why should we hire you? What is your work important? What do we need to see from you? And to be able to summarize those things in 3 minutes, it's a really it's a challenge, but it's a useful challenge. It's very practical in life. And so we talk about those elevator speeches and how they can best utilize those moving forward for whatever they want to do, whether it's education, career, or just talking to people on vacation about what their life is.
So is there a set format for the presentation, or is it up to the graduate students to determine what the format is?
Yeah, there are specific rules that we follow, and the students have to follow those too. They have one static slide. So it's not a whole PowerPoint slide deck or anything like that. It's one slide, cannot move. And it really needs to supplement what their speech is. So they have the 3 minutes, like we said. And when we coach them, we have insider and prep sessions for them. We coach them to try to have a beginning, middle, and end. And they need to draw in the audience to start with. And some of them get very creative. And I tell them, you need to tell a story in a way that somebody's going to be putting their phone away. Like, people are always on their phones. What are you going to grab their attention with? So they do their beginning, middle, and end. And then they have that 3 minutes to talk and tell about their work. We really stress the why. Why is your work important? Tell the audience why, draw them in even further at the end. And then that one static slide. So it's very succinct and basic in a way, but it's really hard to talk about the last 2 years of your work in 3 minutes.
Yeah. So I imagine you get all kinds of different students with different personalities. So you probably have some that are very well-spoken and lively, but I bet you have some that struggle with public speaking.
There's a wide variety of students, and when they come to our prep sessions, we can tell, and they can also tell us what their weaknesses are. And for like me, obviously, I talk with my hands. And so I tell them, if you talk with your hands, you're holding a microphone. So you need to be aware of which hand you really need to hold a microphone with and which one you don't. We talk about posture. We talk about walking. If you are a nervous energy person, you need to walk the stage. You have a stage to walk. Use it. Don't turn your back to the audience to look at your slide. Your slide should be very minimal. So we do have that. Last year, I am super proud of this. We had probably twice as many international students that participated than we normally do. And English, for most of them, is their second and some their third language.
Wow.
And some of them came to our prep sessions very, very nervous. They're talking through their 3 minute speech, but in their head, they're also translating that into English to use it. And it's such a challenge to do the 3 minutes in your first language, no matter what. But for those students who were doing that, they were so nervous and really working through. They had excellent material. They had excellent slides. They just were nervous, just like you said. And they practiced and they worked and they came back in and practiced with us as an audience, and they knocked it out of the park. We probably had over 10 international students last year, and I couldn't be more proud. They were just,
Wow.
they were such hard working to get up there and do that and be able to do it in their second or third language. I just think it's amazing in itself to be able to do the 3 minutes in any format, but to do it in a language that's not your first, it's very inspiring to watch our students do those things.
And I'd
So
like to add to that,
oh,
Tracy.
oh.
I love going to the 3-minute thesis. I have it on my calendar for this year already. And what I've noticed is not only that there are more international students, but the age range of students is actually a little bit different now. Like last year, there were some older students compared to very young ones. Is that something you're also seeing when the applications come in?
Yeah, we do see a wide range. It really just depends on the makeup of the students each year. When they start in August, they're not always ready to do this in November. So usually it's a second or third year type of event for students, and they have to feel that confidence. We have students who are going back for a graduate degree, just like they do for a bachelor's degree or an associate's, who haven't been in school in a while. And so doing this type of event is even more nerve-wracking for them. But we really do our best to build up their confidence, to make sure they feel competent. We want to make sure that we don't want anybody to fail, right? That's what we're here for at ISU. But we also don't want them to fail on stage with a very specific audience. The lights are dim. We have it in the black box theater. It's so we try to tell students, you're not going to be able to see anybody past the front row. So don't worry about the 300 to 400 other people. Don't worry about the Zoom. You are the expert, right? And as long as you don't fall off the stage, we should be good. And nobody has fallen yet, crossing fingers. We work on that. We have a trial run. We have everybody practice as much as they want to, so they can feel confident in what they're doing. So I think the age range just varies. It's never something we really have considered, but we want students in all areas to participate.
That's so great. So do you have a 3-minute thesis that stands out to you? Like through all of the ones that you've watched, either it was just exceptional or it was funny or...
We have several. We use them for examples. And the very first one I saw just that came to me and it said, we need to do this at ISU. I was at a conference. So it wasn't an ISU one, but I use this as an example. The student started talking and said, have you ever looked at your poop? And you're like, what? Like I literally was on my phone checking email because I'm at a conference, and I put my phone down and I was like, what are we doing? And her research was on medicines that they had done a trial with to help with colorectal cancer.
Wow.
But her attention grabbing statement at the beginning. And so I use that with students. I say, this is what grabbed my attention. And so it turns them into, okay, you grabbing my attention is not just, hey, are you listening? It's like really putting out something that everybody can understand. And so some of our students start off with really sad statistics. How many of you, if you look to your left and right, how many of you do you think have cancer today? How many of you have lost family members to insecticide poisoning? You know, they really bring something that might be personal. And I think those are the ones that tend to really grab judges, because we have our judges doing the scoring and you need to reach them personally. So they do talk through some of the statistics. Some make it very personal. We had a student a few years ago who really, she was an English major. She was getting her master's degree in English, and her thesis was about talking about trauma in literature. We read the trauma, but we don't talk about it. And her entryway was very sad. She had grown up in a family where her father actually murdered her little brother. And that was the picture on her slide. And that's what she started with, was there is trauma in life. And she talked about the trauma in literature. So some of them are very eye-opening. Some of them are very heartwarming. And some are just like, wow, we really need to do something about this. Just like a TED Talk, like you were talking about.
Okay, that's great. So you learned about it at a conference, or did you know about these 3-minute thesis before you went to the conference?
I had heard about it, but I didn't really dive into it too far until I went to the conference and saw it for myself. And I thought, wow, this is something we have to do at ISU.
That's awesome.
So Tracy, you mentioned judges. Who are the judges? I mean, how do you pick the judges?
So usually we have a little bit of a method. It sometimes fails, but we try it. Every year ISU has a researcher of the year, and then they have those who made the short list. I can't remember what it's called. So we try to get the researcher of the year. So for 2024, Dr. Justin Dolan Stover was the one who won the final award. He's actually going to be our judge this year. So we try to get somebody in that research circle. We're still getting other judges, but in the past we've had faculty senate chairs. We have a community member sometimes. And last year we were able to get a former alumni from our alumni board who had a master's in engineering and also supports the graduate school with attendance at the 3-minute thesis when we have our audience members. So we usually get 3 to 4 folks who are engaged in research, engaged in the graduate school, engaged in the community, and just try to pair them all up. And they score the students through the entire event. So they're listening to 30 back-to-backs. We give them a little bit of a break. And then we add up the scores and we have a ceremony after the event to give those students their awards.
Oh,
That's
nice.
great.
Nice.
So you have about 30 this year signed up?
We do not have a final count yet. Submissions are due, I believe, by the 28th of this month. So we'll know October 28th how many we have. We try not to turn students away. However, if it gets too big, we're going to have to figure out how we can kind of pare that down.
So when is the event?
It is November 14th. It's a Thursday. We have it in the evening. It'll start between 6:30 and 7, depending on how many students we have. Last year, we bumped it up to start at 6:30 just so we could squeeze them all in. And then before that, we have several insider sessions for our students to learn more about the event to see if it's something they want to participate in. But November 14th is the event. It's at the Black Box Theater in the Stephen Performing Arts Center. And then afterwards, we have a celebration awards reception with really great food. And people love to come to that afterwards and talk with the students that they've seen. They congratulate them. They want to learn more. They provide more confidence for them as well. So it's a really great evening.
Right. So as we said earlier in the podcast, you said that sometimes a person's research takes years. Can someone participate 1 year and because their research is continuing, participate in another year?
Yes, and we love to see it when we can see the continuation of what they're working on. We don't require final data to be presented. We don't do that in any of our events because our students are in such different places and stages of their research and their work. And sometimes it's not research that has data. It might be just analysis. It might be literature reviews. So some of those pieces we allow all different stages and types. We want students from nursing to engineering to English to sociology to join in. And so we want to be able to have it open for everybody, but it can be at any stage. Usually students in their first semester don't feel as comfortable, but after the first year, they usually are.
Are there any certain disciplines that participate more than others?
Yeah, we see a lot of students in biology and engineering, and geology as well. Psychology is those are probably our top 4.
Excellent.
And
Excellent.
have you seen when they participate in this event, does it help them get jobs or help them put their research out? Have you seen any value with that?
Yeah, we hear from them that they are more confident to talk about their work. So they're able to go to conferences and put some of the things they learned to use of speaking to an audience, to speaking to a broad audience. We don't track career outcomes in the graduate school because they are very tied to their industry and the advisors that they're working with. But we hear from those auxiliary pieces of conferences and job interviews and just being able to talk to community members and not feel so academic and estranged from everybody, right?
Yeah, that's what, Tracy, I was just going to ask that. Have you found that if someone has said that, oh, I never even thought about how to explain my work until I had to participate in this?
Yeah, absolutely, because they haven't. And so when they practice and they use these, 12 syllable words, we're like, nobody knows what that means. So you can use it, but you need to explain it. And sometimes the processes of certain things and like pharmaceutical sciences, there's a lot of molecular pieces that people don't understand and know. I don't understand and know. I'm not in those disciplines. And so it has really helped them to be able to have those conversations without, we try to tell them, tell us like we're your grandmother. What are you doing for school? When she's like, why are you going back to school? What do you do? And you're like, I don't know how to explain it to you. This is now how you figure out how to explain it, right? And so I think it's really providing them with those tools and skills to be able to talk about their research in a level that others will understand and not feel so segregated from the pieces that others might not know how to translate into their real world everyday activities. And our winners from this event, we have a state 3-minute thesis competition we take them to. And so we compete against Boise State and University of Idaho. We started that, I believe, 4 years ago. I think this year might be our 5th. I might be off by one. And we compete against those. So our top candidates go and we all compete together. And it's really cool to watch those students talk to each other about what they're doing and to be able to hear what other schools are really diving into. Like, of course, University of Idaho, a lot of theirs are very agricultural based. And so trying to interweave some of these, they find that they have commonalities and some of them start talking to each other about future research and work together too.
So we are actually hit our 20-minute mark. This went by very quickly, but as we wrap up, if there is a student who's looking at going to graduate school or freshly in grad or doctoral school right now, if they're getting their master's or doctorate, and they're interested in participating in the 3-minute thesis, how would they do so?
Yeah, so if they're looking, our website has all the information. It's isu.edu/3-minute thesis with the actual number 3. So 3-minute thesis. It would have everything on there as far as deadlines and insider sessions. And this is just a really good event too for our recruiting for future students to know that we do these types of activities and help sponsor and showcase the work that they're going to be doing with their faculty. So it's a really great thing to look into and try to add into the repertoire for their CV. So they can add that into a lot of universities are doing them. So it's really great when we can compete with others too.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Tracy. Really, I think I might go. I think I might go. And
you should.
It sounds super interesting. And I want to thank you for being on today. Very informative. Angie, as always, thank you. I can't do this without you. Obviously, you can do it without me. Raylan, thank you for joining us again today. Now, if someone's interested in our offerings, they can visit our website at cetrain.isu.edu, or you can give us an email at cetrain@isu.edu, or give us a call at 208-282-3372. Thank you very much for listening to the podcast. This is our way of outreaching to our community and the people in our area. So if you like this podcast, please like, share, subscribe, and be safe out there.